Hello and welcome to episode 56 of The Weighing Room, where the three of us are back together this week to preview the action from Cheltenham's December meeting, the feature races from Doncaster on Saturday, and also we'll take a brief look at the John Durkan from Punchestown on Sunday from an anti-post standpoint. Lads, the three of us haven't been back together, have we, for a bit of a while now? Frankie, obviously we can see you're somewhere quite nice. I think you're going away on your holidays, aren't you? Where are you going?
I am, yep. No racing. It's not a racing trip this time. I'm not off to Ireland or Scotland like usual when I'm sat in a lounge. It's a holiday to Amsterdam. And hopefully, we'll find out. I shouldn't wish racing to be off, but if there was a weekend where I'm maybe not missing loads, I think I've timed it quite nicely. Just for pleasure to Amsterdam.
Well, we couldn't let you go, could we, before previewing the action this weekend. And Paul, you're back this week. How's things been, mate? All good?
Yeah, keeping busy. All's very good. If only I was a year old behind you two men, I'd be living the life. But good. Hopefully, I think the way the weather's looking, lads, we could have been better off doing an 8-race card at Dundalk, maybe. How's things looking over here now?
Dundalk will survive that, that's for sure.
Exactly. Well, yeah, definitely. Well, like you say then, Paul, the weather might go against us this weekend, but we're recording on Thursday afternoon. Everything's still going ahead at this moment in time, and we'll plan as that's according to. So the ground at the moment at Cheltenham Doncaster is good, but with under the covers, it could get a bit tacky. We'll speak about that later on, but we'll go off the basis of that, and hopefully we'll try and find some winners. And we'll get the pod kick-started then. We're going to start off at Doncaster this week, gents, with the listed Summit Juvenile Hurdle. It was a Grade 2 event. It's now a listed event, but it's still seen quite a good field go to post. And one thing I will say is, like we said, we're recording on Thursday afternoon, and a lot of these horses are double-entered in the first race at Cheltenham on Saturday. So a lot of them, their first option is this race, but if they don't go for this and Cheltenham's on, they go for Cheltenham, there might be one to look at there as well. But we'll have a talk about them for this race. Paul, I'll give you the honours, kick us off this week. Who are you going for?
I think it's hard to look beyond the Joseph O'Brien trained Nusret, who ran out a ready winner on hurdling debut at Punchestown under Daryl Jacob. That was back on the 20th of November, and I think Nusret will have too much for scriptwriter here.
Yeah, Nusret, obviously at the top of the market, it's got to have a big chance. Frankie, for you, because I know before you were a fan of Nusret on the flat. Are you the same over the jumps?
I'm going to switch, maybe a bit of recency bias for me being at Cheltenham and seeing scriptwriter win. But there's obviously more to come from both of these horses, which are, flat recruits, and they'll improve the more times they do go over obstacles. They've both got a bit of speed about them. They've both won on good. And I do think the winner will come out the top two, but I'm going to stick with scriptwriter. I think there's a lot more to come. He looked like he had some real speed when he got his head down and started racing. When he jumped the last and got in front, he was just having a little bit of a look around, and then when he found the rail again, he did get his head down and kind of picked back up. And I think he's got quite a lot about him, scriptwriter, and for that run should improve again. Does have a hard task to beat Nusret, but I find it very hard to split them. A slight preference for scriptwriter, and you're getting a better price. So I'll be sticking with Milton Harris.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I think they've both got massive chances. It was tough for me because I tipped scriptwriter up when it won at Cheltenham last time out. And following a similar path to a Milton Harris horse, Night Salute, that went for this race as well after. You can see what they were trying to do with this horse. But getting that £5, Nusret for me at the top of the market will just edge it. Obviously, it was a nice horse on the flat, really, operating a 91. Was sent hurdling, only been seen once. I think that was quite a nice race. I think it'll work out well. I think the third in that race has gone on to run well. I think it was third, yeah. Callaghan's gone on to run well since at entry last week. And the way it won, pulling away from the last Nusret, I just thought it could be quite smart horse over hurdles. So yeah, I just gave Nusret the edge. But a horse I do want to mention from an each way perspective in the race is Trojan Horse. Just wanted to give a little mention to that. This also was a horse on the flat rated 84 for Mark Johnston, moved to Anthony Honeyball in October this year, made his debut at Kempton 6 days later and was a good third. That was a fair juvenile hurdle. Learned plenty for that run, got a bit of experience, went to Fontwell last time in another nice event and pulled away from the field with ease and went on to win by 10 lengths. The form of that race has worked out slightly as well, with the fourth and fifth both first and second in a decent juvenile hurdle next time out. And I just saw a bigger price around 9-1. It was the each way playing the race. But from a win perspective, like you, Paul, Nusret, but it's a cracking race where you kick us off in it because it could go either way. Cheltenham's first event then on ITV we're going to cover, lads, is the December Gold Cup over 2 mile, 4.5 furlongs. Frankie, we're going to give you the honour with this. There was Midnight River at the top of the market, wasn't there? Who hasn't been declared for the Skeltons. They might just be letting someone else have a big race on a Saturday, haven't they, from the last 3 weekends? But still, a credible field of 15 gone to post. Who are you siding with in this one?
Yeah, it's a hot race. It's a great race, this. I'd say this, for me, probably be, or maybe the one after with Epatome. But when we're looking at these handicaps across the weekend, I think this is the spiciest. El Rodotto looked to be travelling really, really well at Cheltenham last time when just fluffing the last a little, but did finish his race well. Stolen Silver, I tipped up for the Paddy Power Gold Cup before unseating. But Warlord, who will be my selection, has beaten both of those off of level weights. And has been racing in better company, really, and doesn't come here carrying any more or less weight than the rest of the top of the market. You know, they're all in the high 140s, those three I just mentioned. And Warlords, I think, has been going up against better competition. And as I said, has beaten the other two off-level weights before. And I think he might now get his chance in a competition like this because he hasn't hit the top ranks. He hasn't won one of those better races. He's just kind of been placing and finishing in second and third, and it comes here for 148 with every chance, I think. So, yeah, Warlord, my selection in what is a very hot race. But I mean, you could probably make a case for the top 5 in the market, or beyond.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on this one, and I'm going with Warlord myself. I looked through, and I was quite a fan of Midnight River, but obviously off the back of the last race. But looking at Il Rodotto, I just don't think and this horse is going on the new course, isn't it, this time, that he might not just stay up that hill. And I don't think it properly got home last time. And I know it's only 5 years of age and still improving, but at 9-2, I'm happy to take it on. Stolen Silver, yeah, like you said, unseated last time. He's better than that. We're still on a marker 150, might have a lot to do. Just thought Warlord off 148, coming off the back of all the grade ones runs last season. And they were credible grade ones, like second behind Edwardstone, which was a really notable one early on the season, was in second at Aintree. And if you look at the fourth at Cheltenham, how that stayed on to get fourth was absolutely brilliant. And that was in the Arkle, I think. So, yeah, that was an absolutely superb run. He's got a lot of grade 1 form. Obviously, he showed this season, ran first time out in the Holden Gold Cup behind Grenadine. Grenadine ran a crack in the Tingle Creek. But I don't think that was his true running. I think if you look at the quotes from Joe Tizard after that, this has been the main plan since that run. I think he's always wanted to go back up in trip to this distance. And off a marker 148 could be quite lenient. 7-1, I'm looking at the moment. I thought it was a cracking bet on Saturday. Another one I'll just mention before I pass over to Paul, from an each way perspective, around 8-10-1 in the market is Pharaoh Bamboo. Venetia Williams said earlier in the week that the owner will be there, so it was going to be definitely running. This horse has been running off the mark of between 140, 143 and running to a credible standard. I think it's another one to go up in trip. I think if you look at the run last time out, over 2 miles, and this horse is very frequently used by Venetia Williams throughout the season, but over the 2 mile 1 distance, he just finds some of them a bit too sharp for him. Maybe going up in trip to 2 mile 4, maybe a bit slower pace for him. I think he could be a big runner. He's normally one who likes soft, heavy ground, but he's been versatile this season on his 2 runs on good ground. And off a marker 141, which is the same mark as he's run when third in the Grand Annual. I thought he had a pretty good chance as well. So they're the 2 I'll be putting up. But of the 2, I think Warlord's one of my strongest shouts of the weekend. Paul, for yourself in this one?
Yeah, I'm going to make it a full house for Warlord for all the reasons mentioned. Been contested at graded company, in theory dropping down, albeit to a competitive handicap chase here, but yeah, he should be competitive here. So full house Warlord.
Yeah, it's nice to see, isn't it? Competitive handicap, we're all going for the same horse. It only means one thing, doesn't it? You're going to get beat. The next race then, lads, is the feature at Cheltenham we're going to cover, and it is the Grade 2 International Hurdle. So these 5 go to post. for this season, Renault. And Epperton, I think, was a surprise runner for me at the top of the market, only 14 days after, second in the fighting fifth at 11-8. I like to move it, the winner of the Greatwood at 15-8. The progressive one of the group, Nappers Hill, 4-1. Next for Nicky Henderson, 15-2, First Street, and Zafanian at 100-1 for Dennis Hogan. Paul, it's quite a nice renewal, although it's only 5 runners, because it looks quite trappy, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. But at the prices, James, I'd be happy to take a chance on the Paul Nichols train, Nappers Hill. He finished off last season with victory in a competitive hurdle at Sandown in April. He really hit the ground running this season with 2 victories in as many starts, the first of which came pretty impressively at Chepstow in October, albeit in handicap company. He took the step up to grade 2 level in his stride with victory in the elite hurdle at Wincanton at the beginning of November. And he started off this season off a handicap mark of 141. He's now rated 153, and that's just 2 runs later. So I think he's on, as you mentioned, James, he's on the improve and one to take seriously. I think 4-1 represents a bit of value about Nappers Hill.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. I think the value does lie with Nappers Hill. But I'll go to mention on later. I'll talk about that. Frankie, we'll pass on to you here. Are you going for?
Epperton. When I actually opened this up this morning, she was second favourite, which I couldn't believe. I know she's just a quick turnaround from the fighting fifth, and she was lengths behind Constitution Hill, but I think Constitution Hill will do that to near enough any horse in training right now. Aidan Common seemed happy enough with her that day. So she ran a good race in second. She just represents the class in the race. So there's no signs that would have put me off her against the rest of the field. I'd agree with Paul. Nappers Hill probably represents Varney. I wouldn't have I like to move it or the rest of the field. For me, it would be between those two. The progressive Nappers Hill or the proven Epperton that we know. And as I said, there's nothing to put me off her. There's nothing to show that she's regressing. I wouldn't be disappointed with a run behind Constitution Hill, and I think she should have the beating of this field.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And this is a tricky one for me. I think this race is really, really tricky because I'm of a similar point of view that it might come back to bite us, but I can't really make a case where I like to move it because even though it was a superb performance in the Greatwood and he's a very, very strong travelling horse, I think Nappers Hill and Epperton are better horses. And when I was looking at it, the one thing that swung it in Epperton's way, even though Nappers Hill is the value at 4-1, and I can see a lot of people playing that 4-1 because it is big value, but getting that £7 Epperton for the mare's allowance is absolutely huge, isn't it? This horse is the proven one in the field. What has she won? A champion hurdle, 2 fighting fifths, 2 Christmas hurdles, and her last grade one was an Aintree hurdle. You've got to be a very good horse to me to win those races. We know what she's done throughout her career. Last season, she got back on track, didn't she? Winning, like I said, that fighting fifth and then Christmas hurdle. She bumped into Honeysuckle in the champion hurdle, but then was brilliant at Aintree and then just went to Punchestown and wasn't beaten far by Marie's Rock. And we've probably run just came too soon after Aintree. But if you look at this season, what she did in the fighting fifth, yes, she got beat by Constitution Hill, but it was 12 lengths behind Constitution Hill. If he was pushed out, it would have been further. But he's a freak. You can't compare anything to him. If you take him out the race, that horse obviously has progressed from last season because beats Not So Sleepy by nearly 3 lengths, where it was dead heat the year before. So she's obviously still got it. She's still improving. And it was just a £7 for me with Nappers Hill. Yes, 2 weeks is a quick turnaround, but I think she'll be capable of doing that. She's just got nothing to prove where the others have. And I just thought she was the way to play. But like you said, Paul, Nappers Hill, I put him up, didn't I, when he beat So Royal. Even though I did fancy him, I was surprised to see the manner of the victory it was. He's just keep going. It's just that 11-8. It's just that extra weight that he might just find Epperton too good because she's class above. She's dropping in class to this race, although it is a competitive one. But yeah, I just can't look past her, even though I can't wait for the Renault because it is a cracking Renault. Back at Doncaster then for their second event on ITV. And it is the Bet Boost at Bet365 handicap chase over 2 mile and 3 furlongs. Frankie, talk us through your selection. It looks a tricky one.
It is. I mean, it's not the best of races to go at, is it? But Fet Champetre, however you might say that. I was trying to find a bit of a price because to be honest, there's nothing that really stood out as a strong bet. So something that I think might place at an each way price. this horse fits that bill. Its mark's never been as low as it is, 113, I think. So the horse has been regressing, but been tried in class threes. Hence probably the kind of lowering mark hasn't been good enough in that company. Comes back into class four, has done all its racing on good ground. The last run, I think, probably wasn't a fair representation over slightly further. So essentially just coming back to where this horse has been seen at its best, on good ground over slightly shorter and into a class four, potentially could be overpriced. So not a strong one, but Fet Champetre each way back into class four company.
Yeah, for Rose Dobbin, 8-1 currently in the market. It definitely represents a bit of a price there. Paul, who are you going for in this one?
Yeah, I think as Frankie mentioned, maybe not the most attractive betting proposition of the afternoon, but Man Insane gets a tentative nod here. He opened up his account at the 9th attempt over hurdles. He opened up his account over hurdles at the 9th attempt, but last seen under Lily Pinchin, who again takes a valuable 3 off. Southern Raider against the Northern Horses. I'm going to take Man Insane to back that victory up at Huntingdon last time out in this 240 at Donny.
Yeah, I'm with you on this one. I think, like you said, lads, it's probably not the best betting race of the weekend, but I thought Man Insane was the one to be on for Charlie Longston. I think this horse has wanted to go back up in trip, and when since getting that, if you look at his last race, went on to beat Kilfill and Woods, and the pair of them, and it was only a nose victory, but the pair of them were nearly 62 lengths clear of third. Good ground, exactly what this horse wants, and only £3 higher than its latest win. Thought Man Insane was the play in this race. But yeah, as you said, lads, there's probably betting races throughout the day. And one of them is the one we're going to talk about next. And it's another Grade 2 event from Cheltenham. And it is the Albert Bartlett Novices Hurdle over 3 miles. This race last year was won by the extremely smart Blazing Cal, who hopefully we'll see later on this season. Paul, there may be not another horse like Blazing Cal in here, but there's still some nice ones, isn't there?
Yeah, there are. It's said to be a real cracker. And the one I've gone with is the John McConnell trained Grand Soir, who opened up his account over hurdles at the 2nd attempt at Kilbeggan back in August. Haven't been dropped in, and it's not the easiest thing to do to come from off the pace around Kilbeggan. So it generally suits those that like to be ridden on the front end. But from then he stayed on strongly to take a novice hurdle event at Cork last time out. This time ridden a lot closer to the pace, but creating a very favourable impression. He looks to have a bright future, and I think Grand Soir is the one you'd want to be on here.
Yeah, 9-1 in the market. We know John McConnell's record at Cheltenham. He loves sending horses there, doesn't he? The October, November, and December meeting. So 9-1, definitely got a big chance. Frankie, for you in this one?
We've all been caught, who, as I'm looking at it now, has just been nudged into favourite. Big horse, one that you'd all probably talk about as a future chaser, but those big galloping horses over 3 miles can be perfect for races like this. And I just love the way that this lad fishes his races. Both of his last two, he's won his first two and then came third at Cheltenham last time. When he beat John Joe's horse at Newbury, finished his race really nicely. And then the same at Cheltenham, although in third, stayed on into third really, really nicely. And to me, it looked still, he's only raced 3 times. Looked a little bit novice. He looks like he needs to get his head a bit straighter. And when things do click, he seems, as I said, to be a very big, strong, powerful horse. So maybe a little bit of maturing to be done. He's definitely got the ability there. And I know that the Tristan Davies at home, they like this horse and he shows the ability at home. So just got to transfer that to the track and over slightly further. I think it's going to suit him the way that he raced last time at Cheltenham. So, we've all been caught. I said, nudged into favourite now, and that's probably because the boys at home like him. They like coming to Cheltenham and getting winners, and I'm sure Sammy will be trying.
Yeah, I'm with you here, Frankie. Again, we've all been caught for me, and like you said, just nudging. They're both joint favourites, 6-4 at the top of the market, Outlaw Peter, and we've all been caught. And for similar reasons to yourself is why I like this one. And we are brave, probably taking on a Nichols horse near the top of the market, aren't we? When this horse has shown clear form already. But there was just a few things when we've all been caught that took my attention. And when it was second favourite, obviously you were happy to play that price. 6-4 joint freight is no problem, but I think it is a match race between the top two, as the market suggests. And all this horse has been crying out for is 3 miles, and I think probably even wants further in the future. A winner over a point-to-point at Dromahane in December 2021 over 3 miles, showing no problem to the trip. Bought for 210,000 at the Cheltenham January sales off the back of that. obviously giving to Nigel Twiston-Davies. Made his rules debut in a bumper over 2 miles half a furlong in Newbury in March this year. And he beat Collector's Item that day, who ran in the same race that ran in last time. And I think that's a better horse than what it ran in last time. Safer hurdles this season, running the Grade 2 Ballymore, as Frankie suggested. And you watched that race when it was over 2 mile 5. All it did was stay. And it was just screaming out to go further. I think every person said that needs 3 miles. Nigel Twiston-Davies isn't stupid as well. Sent it up to 3 miles for this. And I think now that's happened, I think he's the play in this race. His pedigree suggests he wants 3 miles. His run last time out suggested he wants 3 miles. And his win over point to point suggested he can win over 3 miles. I think Saturday at this trip is his big chance. And I just think he's the play in this race. Although Outlaw Peter's got a cracking chance. And like you say, Paul, the John McConnell horse isn't without a chance as well. But I do like we've all been caught. I think he can show his true talent on Saturday in that race. So the final event on ITV from Doncaster on Saturday is the Bet365 Novices Handicap Hurdle over 2 miles, 3.5 furlongs. Frankie, who do you like in this one?
Ewood Park, Ollie Murphy and AP Heskin, they've been teaming up for a few winners, haven't they, at the start of the season? It's we're looking at horses that what we're looking at, a class. Well, no, that's just a novices handicap, isn't it? But there's not a whole lot of class in here. Ewood Park's probably shown glimpses of the best bit of form, and I think, given that last time out after nearly 700 days off the track to finish 4th, that's not a true representation of where he's at, and should improve massively for that. Given what he showed glimpses of at Doncaster and even at Newcastle and Wetherby, even when unseating, if you watch that, I think this horse has always probably been a little bit better, or could be a little bit better than what we've seen. And as I said, 4th after 700 days won't be a true representation. So comes here into this handicap off probably a bit more of a lenient mark than he might actually represent. So I was trying to look at the ones a bit higher rated. Ewood Park, Fearless Action, Watergrange, Jack's probably a bit too exposed, tough 111. So Ewood Park to improve and to take advantage really of that marker 105 carrying 11.8.
Yeah, Ewood Park 4-1, and we're either going to have loads of winners or loads of losers together. Frankie's with you on this one again. Like you say, this horse, I've been waiting for this horse for a long time. Like you say, nearly 700 days off the track. It's what's nearly 2 years off the track to go handicapping, because he showed glimpses in bumpers. If you look at his first bumper, he was behind the likes of One More for the Road, Good Risk at All, and Newton Abbott. We know they've turned out to be nice horses. He then went into he then went over hurdles, and Seatley's rider was going to run okay. That race was won by Third Time Lucky. So we know the form's okay there. Sent to Newcastle in a maiden off the back of that, was 6th of 10. These for me were all fact-finding missions with this horse before he was going handicapping to get his runs. Like you say, his first run back when he was 4th was much more of a pipe opener to me. It wasn't his true running of the race. Dropped 2 pounds to that to a marker 105. The only worry with him, when you see horses that have had this long off, do they just need a few more runs than the one to get back to their best? If you look at Bear Grylls this season, had a really long time off since the Ballymore, gone over fences twice, ran credibly, but not to the same standard as it should. That's my only worry with this horse, that he might need another run before it truly gets going. But off a marker 105 at 4-1, third favourite in the race, I thought Ewood Park, being very unexposed, was the play in the race. So, yeah, Ewood Park in that one. Paul, for yourself?
Yeah, it's a full house for Ewood Park. For all the reasons mentioned. And he is a horse that likes to come from off the pace. He's generally held up. He only faces the 5 opponents here. Just 6 go to post for this one. So I think Connections have found a good opportunity. If Ewood Park is pretty straight to take advantage.
Well, we're all agreeing. That's what we like to see. What we like to see. Right then, chaps, the final event on Saturday, and it comes from Cheltenham. He is their curtain raiser, and it is the Mares Handicap over 2 mile, 4.5 furlongs. Won by some nice horses in the past, like Dame de Campagna and Martello Sky. Won this last year. Paul, are you going with Martello Sky to make it 2 out of 2 in the race?
I am, James. I think we're hovering on nap territory here. I think if she settles better than she did at Kempton when last seen, where she finished 2nd at 3 behind Miranda, she was beaten about 11 lengths in the end. I think she takes the beating here. As you mentioned, she just got the better of Indefatigable in this race last year. She scored again on her next start. That was at Sandown back in January. I think the first half mile will be crucial for Aidan Coleman to switch Martello Sky off. But I think if they do come to an agreement and she switches off and gets into a nice rhythm, I think Martello Sky takes the beat.
Yeah, strong selection there for yourself then, Paul. Frankie, you with Paul?
Same boat, yeah. And I know Paul was a fan at Wetherby as well, and she was just beaten by Molly Ollie's wish. Same sort of reason, and probably the only thing to add, besides what Paul's already said, is just back to that 2.5. She won this last year, then won at Sandown over 2.5, then ran a decent race at the festival, again over 2.5, only 7th and not miles back, and then second the last twice, but once over 2 miles and once over 3 miles. So back to an ideal trip, back to a race that she's won before. And given that she's been beat the last 2 times, a mark of 140, the same mark that she won this off last year. It looks perfect, doesn't it, Paul? Looks perfect. You definitely can't argue with 5-1 anyway if you want to play it each way.
Sounds easy, doesn't it?
Before the race, anyway. They all look great on the bet slip.
You have put a strong case up for Martello Sky, but it'd be very boring, wouldn't it, if I went for the same? So I've got to take you on this time. Theatre Glory for me, just slightly edging Martello Sky at the top of the market. A very, very consistent horse for the yard over the last 18 months. Obviously, I mentioned Dame de Campagne won this back, I think, in 2019. Haven't got a bad record in the race, Nikki Henderson. And this horse, she made her Rules debut in May 2021 when landed a good bumper at Worcester. Made a hurdles debut last season at Huntington. She made it back-to-back wins, taking a listed race at Newbury. No, sorry, she finished third in a listed race at Newbury. That was behind LS Bell, who I think passed away now, but was a very good horse back in the day. And also a horse with no name. A horse with no name went on to finish second, as we know, in the Mares Novices Hurdle at the Cheltenham Festival this year, and was a live favourite for the Zarovich, so not a bad horse at all. Back to winning ways at Warwick, went up to 2 mile 3 under a penalty. She then went to Kelso in March on handicap debut and took a really nice race, actually, off 129. And she bought the hat-trick at Cheltenham over course and distance in April. I know you were saying with Martello Sky, she has course and distance form, but so does this one. And that was in a listed event. She's only been seen once this term, Luxie and Seat the Rider in the Jerry Filden. She was coming in that race. Maybe not going to win the race, but she was definitely going to run a race. And the Jerry Filden's been quite a nice race for a lot of horses to progress from over the years. So dropping back into this handicap event. And she is also getting, £3 off Martello Sky. I just thought she was very consistent and getting a good ground that you'd like to think she'd get on Saturday, which is exactly what she wants. I thought she was a big player. I completely understand your arguments for Martello Sky. Got no problem with that. But I just thought Theatre Glory might just be a slight class above this horse. But we'll wait and see. We'll wait and see on Saturday. That's all of Saturday's races covered then, lads. We've absolutely whizzed through them this week with some cracking action at Cheltenham and Doncaster. But we couldn't finish this week without having just a little look at Punchestown on the Sunday. Obviously, we are recording on Thursday afternoon, so it is from an anti-post perspective. But the John Durkan over the last few years has obviously seen some really cracking renewals. And this season, we see the likes of Galloping de Champs at the top of the market. That's going to be taken on by Conflated, Fakir Duderies, possibly French Dynamite, Fury Road, Statler and Vanillier. So it could be an absolute cracking renewal again, couldn't it, Frankie? Who did you land on? Obviously, we're not going to properly put selections up. From this point of view, we're looking at the anti-post market. Who would you go with?
I'll go with Galloping de Champs, really. Well, I mean, you might not. You might fancy someone else. But just the way that this horse has won its races, really, for me. I mean, you flick through. There's Master McShee, Riviere de Tal, Blue Sari, Gaillard de Mentil, Fury Road. Capilano was unseated. Every single one of these horses are lengths and lengths behind, not just beaten, they are well beaten. This horse hasn't really met a challenge yet at all. And just the manner in which it wins, the way at which it jumps and travels, it does look to have it all. So yeah, I really wouldn't be looking past the Fab. I think fingers crossed, Galloping de Champs should run at Punchestown and Urjamin should run at Cork. So they're your two muggy shorties to put in a double, or at least the two to watch and start getting excited as Willie Mullins brings his big guns out.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that Ireland, and you'll probably tell us more, Paul, but probably in the same camp as we are over in England, that the frost is hitting some of the tracks, and we are playing touch and go whether it's going to go ahead this weekend, aren't we?
Yeah, exactly. It's been pretty cold now the last couple of days. A lot colder today now, in the northeast, and like I wouldn't be that far from Punchestown. It's a lot cooler here today now, and I know it played havoc on the roads this morning. Even the main roads and the motorways now, there was quite a lot of accidents and mishaps and what have you. So at the minute, it is very much touch and go. But you're probably, if it does go ahead, there only 8 entries. You're probably only you're going to be lucky if you're going to get many more runners than 4, 5 maybe max. And I think, again, as Frankie mentioned, lengths and lengths. I think if bar disaster, Galloping de Champs, they won't see which way he went.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think this Galloping de Champs, he's getting in the class of horse of Constitution, and I think he could be a bit of a freak, but obviously over fences. What he's shown last season, and he showed us in the Martin Pipe, didn't he? What a class horse he could be, and that was just smuggled in again by Willie Mullins under the handicapper to go and win that. And what he's done over fences, like I was at the Dublin Racing Festival when he won there, and it was just unbelievable. The round of jumping you saw. He should be unbeaten over fences, shouldn't he? That fall at Cheltenham should never have happened. And it was one of those freak things, but freak things happen to freak horses, don't they? So, Galloping de Champs. But look, Fakir Duda is not a bad horse. So conflated as well, shown he's a good horse. If these horses do go, they do put up a little bit of a test, but I just think he's in a different class. And I'm really looking forward to seeing him. Hopefully, if it goes ahead. And like you say, Frankie, on Sunday as well, and a Gamine, hopefully at Cork, if that goes ahead as well, that'd be nice to see him back. And he'll probably just go and shorten into even money, won't he, for the champion chase, if just having a spin round there. Lads, that's all for this week then. You know what time it is now. It is nap time. And Paul, we'll start with you because I think we might know where you're going now.
Yeah, well, if Cheltenham gets the green light, I'm all over Martello Sky in the Mayor's Handicap Hurdle at 3:35 at Cheltenham on Saturday afternoon for the reasons mentioned. Can't go without giving Dundalk a shout. We should have no weather problems at Dundalk. I am on the microphone tomorrow night at Dundalk. Frankie, you were there earlier on in the season. You know how cold it can get, so you can just imagine what it'll be like tomorrow. That's the hardest part of it, I think. And as well, trying to find a couple of winners. But I think John McConnell could have the aces at Dundalk on Friday evening. Bellick in the 6:30 was a good second behind Leclerc, who won very well on his last start. I thought Bellick did very well from stall 15, and I think he can go close again. The draw, again, is against Bellick, but he has to be there or thereabouts. And in the 7 o'clock, Namur, also representing John McConnell, and jockey Siobhan Rutledge. He's nicely drawn in stall number 4. He's got the visor on. He was a good third on his last 2 starts, but he was third behind Bellick and Leclerc last time out. And he is a little bit quirky. I think he's bled in the past. So you see when push comes to shove, you're not going to see him till late, all going well. But when push comes to shove, the head just does come up a bit. But he's a horse with a lot of ability. That run the last day might have given him a little bit more confidence. And I think from stall 4, Siobhan Rutledge does get a good run out at quirky sorts. I think Namur can go close again.
Well, it's nice you put 2 of them up because that might be the only race we actually get to bring this weekend. So thanks as always for that, Paul, and nice Martello Sky for the pod at Cheltenham. Frankie, for yourself.
Yeah, well, I'm in the same camp with Martello Sky, but we'll let Paul have that one, and it's Dundalk. I'm sure that'd be a good night, Paul. Christmas party season, isn't it, at Dundalk? Friday nights at Dundalk, so enjoy that one.
Friday.
What's that?
I heard it was hopping last Friday, so
yeah, I bet.
So yeah,
up the Dundalk. We'll have to do a trip soon. I'm gonna stick with Epitome. I really do just think she's the class in the race. I'd be really disappointed if she got beat. It would feel like, the start of her demise if she got beat in that race. I feel like she should be above the rest of the field. So Epitome, fingers crossed for me.
Yeah, Epitome obviously got a really strong chance around 11-8 at the moment. For me this week, I do like We've All Been Caught, but I'm going to go for a bigger odds one. I'm going to go for Warlord 7-1 in the December Gold Cup, and I'm going to play this win only as well. So I really actually do like Warlord. I think he's got a massive.
Was there another that we all liked? We had Warlord. We had oh sorry, no, there was a couple, wasn't there? I was trying to think. You play the winners enclosure Trixie between the three of us.
Warlord, Ewood Park. We were all
that was it.
like,
yeah.
So yeah, there's a couple in there. But yeah, for me, Warlord as mine up this week around the 7-1 mark. Gents, thanks as always for your selections this week. Frankie, have a great holiday. Paul,
thank you.
Tracking time at Dundalk tonight. Tomorrow, sorry. We normally film on a Friday, don't we? Tomorrow. I hope it's not too cold for you. A great weekend of action ahead with Cheltenham, Doncaster and Punchestown on the Sunday, if the clerks give the go-ahead, of course. Hopefully we've found some winners. Please be sure to like this video, comment your selections below for the weekend, or Dundalk, that might be the only racing going ahead. And please make sure you subscribe to the Winners Enclosure channel with plenty of content going through on there. All the best of the weekend, lads. All the best of the weekend, everyone. And thanks again.